Just listen. I'm sorry what I did to Compton.
You are listening to
Fire emergency.
Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl.
Welcome once again to the Grim Fix Podcast. I am your host, David. I am here with JR and Charles. Welcome.
Everyone.
Yo.
To the Grim Fix Podcast. Thank you, all of you who have subscribed, who have followed the podcast, or subscribed to the podcast, who have subscribed to our YouTube channel. Thank you for those of you who share the podcast and the videos. I appreciate that very much. And if you have not done so, now is a good opportunity for you to click to subscribe to the podcast. Or if you are watching us through our YouTube channel, it's a good time to subscribe to the channel, to click on that subscribe button and activate the notification bell so that every time we upload an episode, you are one of the first people to watch, listen, and enjoy, and hopefully share. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I also want to remind you can find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram as the Grim Fix Podcast. If you have a story you want us to discuss, to read, to talk about, to laugh about, make jokes about, or simply if it's something serious, obviously, right? You just want us to read it. If it's interesting, we will discuss it. You can send it to us at the grimfixpodcast@gmail.com. Remember that it can be
murder confession.
Yeah, a murder confession. It could be a conspiracy theory. It could be a paranormal story. It could be a haunted, creepy story. Whatever. If it's interesting enough, we'll talk about it. All right.
We should do a conspiracy theory episode.
Yeah, we could do that. We gotta find something very
conspiracy theory. That's really interesting.
There's so many. I used to like the show that Jesse the Body Ventura had.
Which one?
Was it? I think was it named Conspiracy Theory?
Please don't say it's about wrestling.
No. It was called, I think, Conspiracy Theories. And he talked about so many interesting things. He would talk about, obviously, conspiracy theories, but that's where I first heard about HARP. You guys ever heard about HARP?
I think that it's a thing that causes earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah, so supposedly, right? Allegedly, the government has this facility where they have these machines and like these panels that go outside, and supposedly they can control the weather with that. They can make earthquakes, they can make hurricanes, they can make tsunamis.
That sounds interesting.
But it's really interesting. Like the show, I think it was great. And he did an episode about that. He did one about aliens, obviously. He did one about 9/11. He did one about 9/11.
Area 51.
He did about Area 51, the Roswell case. He did, I don't remember if they talked about chupacabras, but I think they spoke about the shapeshifters. There was I think there was one about like mind control.
MK Ultra.
What's that? I've heard you mention that before, and I meant to look it up. And what's MK Ultra?
That's where they literally they brainwash people. That was like a military tactic or something.
Okay, I mean it could be that same episode, because I know he talks about military, and he talks about I think it is because they talk about brainwashing. They talk about how so the government has these again, machines or computers or whatever it is, solar panels or satellites, whatever it is. And supposedly they can use that to like telepathy, where they can send messages and subliminal messages to people without people knowing it. And it just makes people do shit. I guess it was really, really interesting. I don't know why he got canceled. I don't know if, that could be a conspiracy theory in itself.
Yeah,
He was bringing too much truth So he got canceled. I don't know.
Canceled.
Or he ran out of info.
Nah, I doubt that. There's so much info out there. Oof. But like he was digging into these like government topics that, yeah, people disappear for stuff like that.
Yep.
But it was good shit, man. I loved it. But yeah, we could do probably an episode about, I don't know, where you just gotta pick one and like really dig
Bermuda
into
Triangle.
it. And I think he did one about that too.
That's also cool.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, how do you explain these planes that they go flying and then they appear somewhere like in el otro lado del planeta, and you go like, how did I get here?
Well, like right now, there was a plane, right? I think it was in 2014 or 2015. Nah, that was 2014. And a plane coming from one of the Asian countries. Not really sure right now. I'm not gonna look it up, but supposedly that plane, it was a big plane, right, full of passengers, and they still can't find that plane. Like there's no trace of it at all. Like it disappeared. Disappeared from the radar. It's gotta be all
in the bottom of the ocean.
But they searched and tracked like quickly. It wasn't like, oh, 6 months later. No, I'm talking about immediately. They started like searching and searching obviously the ocean, and they never found anything. There's no communication, nothing.
The Kraken lives there.
Oh.
Really?
Who knows, man?
Isn't there like a new COVID strand that's called the Kraken?
Yeah.
Right?
Really?
Kraken.
Yeah. The Kraken.
The Kraken. But that sounds like this show, The Manifest.
Yes, I was thinking about that. Like, man,
yeah.
I tried to get through that show, and I remember my brother was like, "Oh shit, this show is the shit. You should watch it." Oh, I've been binge watching it. They put it up on Netflix. They renewed it, the series, because it had gotten canceled. But I kid you not, I saw season 1. I don't think I even finished it. But maybe by the 6th episode, I was like, all right, I had enough of this.
I think I saw the first 2 seasons, and that's it.
It's just it got
I lost interest.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. It dragged. It dragged.
No, I don't. The what?
The X-Files también got boring.
Yeah.
The X-Files, they made a remake to it, didn't they? They make a new season or some shit like a few years ago.
I'm not sure.
I never watched it.
I'm not sure. I've seen the original, but I haven't.
Is that these shows, they make remakes of them, and I get it. You have to adjust to the times, but it's just, I don't know, man. It just they kill it. They try to put politics into everything now, and it gets boring to me. Like I watch enough of that on the news. I watch TV to forget about what's going on in life. I don't need to be constantly reminded of the same thing. So
so true.
A lot of these shows, that's what happened with I haven't watched the new Fresh Prince either.
Oh, I
they got a new Fresh Prince?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. I don't know if it's still going.
I didn't know. I didn't even know that it was. It's not with the same characters, right?
No.
I saw the trailer. They went like more drama-ish.
Yeah, it's very cinematic. The cameras, it doesn't look like sitcom cameras.
Yeah, it's not a funny
cinematic. It's not. It's more of like dramatic
drama.
New characters. Same characters, different actors.
Well, like I think Will Smith was behind it.
Yeah, I think he's like an executive producer or something.
And he must know he fucked it up.
Well, I mean, they're adjusting to the times, and apparently people like it. I haven't watched it, so I haven't seen it.
Tell me, when you saw it the first time, you enjoyed it because it was funny.
Yeah.
Right? And this one is dramatic. It's not going to be funny. So he must know he fucked it up somewhere.
No, I just think they're just trying to appeal to a different crowd.
Yeah.
They're not trying to appeal to the 90s crowd. They're trying to, to the new generation. I mean, it's most of these shows, that's what they're doing. They make them more dramatic. That's what kids like now. They did the same
Like they
thing with
don't have
Saved by the
drama in
Bell.
that place.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like when you see we live in a world full of drama. Okay, so we try to watch shows to I don't know, forget about it for a while and entertain yourself. But then all you're seeing is the
Same shit.
same thing. So I mean, again, I know they're appealing to the new crowds, new audience. Whether it's doing well or not, I don't know because I haven't seen it. I know they did the same thing with Wonder Years also. They made a remake to it. They made it a little more cinematic. I think it's a black family now. But again, I don't know if it's good or not. I don't know. I'd rather stick with what I already saw. If I liked it back then, that's it. Yeah. Let the new generations enjoy the
Yeah,
new
it's
shows.
like that
Yeah.
new one the new Boy Meets World, the Girl Meets World, some shit like that.
Yeah, I tried watching that. I couldn't.
No, that's garbage.
I watched like 2 or 3 episodes and I was like, all right, nope, it's not for me.
And the new Punky Brewster.
That I haven't seen.
I saw the new Punky Brewster.
I still,
It was all right. It was
I
like
can't call it
like Fuller
Punky Brewster.
House.
Fuller
Fuller
House.
House
Right.
also.
like
I
Fuller
tried
House.
watching and I
I
couldn't.
tried watching. I couldn't.
And I remember I was
Get
so
past, like,
excited
the
when
first
they
2
announced it. I was so excited. I was like, oh shit. Oh yeah,
They don't have the Olsen twins.
you're basing
like
it on
Roseanne.
nostalgia. Well,
Roseanne.
there
And
I
Connor
have
is
to
good.
differ from you guys from you because I actually like the Connors.
I do.
I
like
do
the twins.
miss-
I do, but it's not the same without with Roseanne.
It's
I'm
not the
actually-
missing from the
same, but
equation.
I still like
It's
it.
enjoyable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree.
I mean,
I like it.
it's annoying because again, the new generations now and like the way Darlene's kids like don't respect her and shit like it bothers me a little bit. But it's actually a good show. I like it. I mean, you do miss Roseanne.
It's still a very relatable show.
Yes.
That's
And the
that's
fact
what
that it held up without Roseanne.
yeah.
That was great. It's like
And
The
it's
Office.
still holding up.
Yeah, like The Office when the main character, Steve Carell, as Michael Scott, left, a lot of people thought that the show was going to get canceled immediately. And it actually held up for like 2 more seasons and they were pretty good. I know they have also you guys haven't watched it, but How I Met Your Mother, they have How I Met Your Father. I haven't seen any of them yet, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna ruin it, so I haven't even bothered watching it. Because How I Met Your Mother is such a brilliant show. I'm telling you, Neil Patrick Harris is so brilliant in that show. The script, the comedy, the jokes, they're so consistent with their writing. Like they touch on these stories that go ahead a few seasons. And then a few seasons later, they'll go back to that the exact same way. Like it's like little details that usually shows fuck up on that. Not there, man. They were very consistent with the writing. And I don't know, just the character. I think all the characters are great, super funny. I
gotta watch that shit.
But
I've
I
heard so much
recommend
stuff.
if you like comedy, if you like cracking up and laughing,
Yes,
I recommend that show to
I
everyone.
do.
It's such a great show and it's hilarious. Really good. Really, really good. So
Okay.
you mentioned you want to see Titanic.
Yes,
This is
indeed, I
news to
do.
me.
Why?
Because I didn't know they were gonna release it in the theaters again.
Yeah, it's the 25th anniversary.
Damn, 25 years.
25th anniversary.
25 years. And yet they decide to put it in the movie theaters again.
Yep.
And
I mean, the only thing that's
people
drawing
go
me
and
to
watch
that
it.
movie is the 3D.
Remastered 4K 3D.
And people will go and watch it. I guarantee you
Yeah.
that.
No,
I
And
wanna
it was a
watch
great
it.
movie. I remember when I wanted to see it, I was still a teenager. And I tried various times to get tickets, and it was always sold out.
One question. You just said you were still a teenager.
Yeah.
You meant you was a teenager.
What do you mean?
You're not a teenager now.
I know, but I was still a teenager during that period. That's what I meant by that.
I was a teenager.
So, I mean, but I remember trying to get in various times, and I was able to get in because a friend of mine bought tickets and couldn't go. And he sold me his tickets. Great movie, by the way.
Great movie. It
Good
made
movie.
billions.
Not to
Just-
go see in the movies, but
It made billions. I also read that with the release of this movie, I think something is gonna come from National Geographic, like Titanic related. Y literalmente él contrató un científico that they were gonna prove once and for all that Jack couldn't fit in the door with Rose.
Oh my God, they still on that.
And yes, for some reason, people are still like, yeah, Rose.
Well, because the movie,
blah,
they
blah.
had that giant door, and in the movie, they could have fit.
So
the
he
movie.
scientifically proves with the help of somebody, and they picked dos personas con the same height, same weight, and they scientifically proved. I don't know qué pasó ahí because no ha salido el documentary, but apparently on February. That must be interesting. Yeah.
supposedly
Interesting.
he doesn't exist in the whole freaking thing anyway.
But what do you think? El cabía, no?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe not.
Again, if I base it on the movie, yes, he fit.
Yeah,
In
but then the
real
door was
life-
gonna sink.
That's
Because
why.
of the
So
weight.
in real life, I don't know. Like, yeah, the truth is, I don't know. Me putting myself in that position, I don't know that I could just let go and be like, oh, I'm gonna drown here. I don't think I could do that.
You'd be like, bitch, get off.
Like, no, I mean, think about it. It's not like
Let's take turns.
it's not like it was your wife, somebody you developed this deep emotional connection to, where obviously you want her to live. It's not like it's one of your children, where obviously you would give up your life in a heartbeat for your kids.
Yeah.
This is a person he met
True.
and banged on a boat. Fine, he fell in love with her. Okay, you can feel he's in the emotions at the moment. But how deep was your love so quickly that you're like, oh, I'll just sink here. I don't know that I could do that, man. I really don't. I don't know.
He
You'd
was
be like,
just
yo, at least
infatuated
let's
with
trade
her.
places for a little while.
But
Still could have
okay,
held
so he
up.
was infatuated with her, but I don't know. I think I would have been like,
I consider that door would have held them both if they would have just laid sideways.
But
it
then,
would've
but
been
then
like, let's
again,
take turns or something.
but then again, she saved him from drowning. Remember that he was cuffed to the thing. She saved him. I
Right,
mean,
but
it's
she let him
the
drown
least. It's the least
anyway.
you could
Well,
do. I
she
mean,
let him freeze
a life
to
for a
death.
life.
Nah, man,
Well-
you should have let me drown with the handcuffs then. You're gonna
Exactly.
save me, so then I'm gonna kill myself. You know how sucky that is? Like, I don't know. I pray to God that I never find myself in a situation like that. But knowing myself, I would have looked for a way. I would have held on to one of the boats, something. But just if I drown, I'm gonna drown trying to survive. I'm not just gonna let myself
course.
go
I wouldn't-
and sink.
You know what? He could have left her there on the door. He could have swam somewhere, grabbed onto another door or something else.
Yeah, I would have waited for somebody to drown, grab their door, something.
But remember, the water was very cold. I mean, you're not
Wow.
thinking straight.
True.
You're
But
not
yeah.
thinking straight.
I would
No,
have.
but yo, survival kicks in. Survival
Minimal, I would
skills
have tried
kick
to
in.
grab onto one of these boats, something, man, something. I don't know that I could have been like, just give up. Again, if I drown, I think I would have drowned trying harder to survive. That's just me. I don't know.
Mhm.
Did you watch Dexter New Blood?
No,
No.
I haven't seen
I-
Dexter. Period.
The last episode was the last one where he apparently died in the
in
boat,
the
blah
boat.
blah.
Oh,
And after
that was
that,
such a-
yeah, and after that, I didn't
Shit.
watch the new one.
Yeah, so
How was it?
they did one new season.
Yeah. How
It's
was it?
actually pretty good. It's just the end. I don't know what is it with these people and these endings. Terrible. Better than the other one though, but it's terrible. But nah, it was actually pretty good. This guy, the one that does the voice of Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob, his name. He's like the main. He's one of the main characters there. Pretty good. Pretty good.
I have to
So
watch it. Where is it? Showtime?
yeah, I think it's Showtime. But it was pretty good. It's like it's probably like I think maybe 6 or 8 episodes,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and that's it. They end it right there.
Yeah, the one I started watching was Hunters.
So what'd you think about it?
I actually liked it. I haven't seen further in, but
Damn
I
right,
liked
you
it.
like it. I'm telling you, that's the shit. Telling you.
It's that kid comes out there, Jonah. I think that's his name, Jonah.
Yeah.
He's the main character from Percy Jackson.
Yeah, nobody cares about him, but that story, yo, that story.
No, but I was trying to look for actors and actresses that were known.
Al Pacino. That's it.
Yeah,
And nah, man, that
but
story
it's
is fire, kid. Telling you, Friday, I'm waiting for the 13th. By the time you guys hear this episode, it has come out already.
Mhm.
What I don't know if they're just gonna release like one episode a week, or if they're gonna release the whole season. Even though it's Amazon Prime, I'm pretty sure what they'll do is one episode a week, because they do the same shit with Boys, which you
Mhm.
losers haven't seen either. Boys, man. Ooh. Ooh. So speaking of Dexter, today's case, we have a real life Dexter, basically. So for those of you like JR that have not seen Dexter, Dexter was a guy who had psychopathic tendencies, right? Right? We can say it that way, Charles?
Yeah.
He had psychopathic tendencies, and he felt, since he was young, he felt the urge to kill. And he was adopted by a police officer. The police officer early on caught on to his tendencies and decided to show him a way to fulfill that urge without hurting innocent people. All right, so far? Explaining it well? Okay.
Mhm.
So Dexter, as he grows up, his adoptive sister, she becomes a police officer in Miami, and he is a blood spatter analyst for the Miami Police Department. So obviously, since he works for the police department, he has info and intel that not everyone has. So what he does is he studies these criminals and decides to fulfill his urges of killing by simply taking out these people that deserve to be taken out. With that said, we have found a case that is not exactly the same thing, but it's sort of the same thing.
The idea is there.
So, exactly. So,
¿Cuándo fue que pasó esto? What year was
this is
it?
in the 70s. I'm not mistaken.
So maybe
2000.
they grabbed that idea and they did this show. Who knows?
Probably. Who knows?
Who knows?
So, I mean, when you look at cases, when you look at shows like Dexter, the reality is Dexter is the villain because he's the one murdering people. But he is a villain that people root for. So he's sort of the hero of the show. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I want those of you who are listening and watching to drop a comment. And I want to hear your take on this. Do you think that this person is a hero, or do you think that he is a villain, or a mixture of both? Please explain. We want to read these comments. By the end of the show, each of us will probably say what we think if he is a villain in our opinion, or if he's a hero.
I got my thought on that. So
Yeah, so do I.
after talking about and reading stuff that we've read before, it's the obvious. It's the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we've made this question a lot of times.
Yeah. We gotta put him with this guy at the Beast.
Nah, man. Still
Tell me that wouldn't be
editing.
cool.
Nah, still editing that episode. I still felt sick listening
Dirty.
to the information that we were reading. I mean, there's a ton of, for those of you who heard last week's episode, there was a ton of footage that I had to remove because we were reading. I mean, we weren't commenting, we were reading the information that we had. And the truth is, it went into this graphic detail, which is, I mean, you want to know. And we invited everyone to search Google and find it. But the information was so, and I've read tons of stories like this. I don't think I've ever felt the way I felt reading that story. It was so graphic and gruesome. And the fact that it was children,
That's where it affects more.
It made me sick to my
The fact
stomach.
that it was children.
Yeah, I mean, and there was a ton. I'm talking about a ton of stuff. And mind you, while we were recording it, we were aware that there were things we shouldn't say. So we didn't say all of it. But even the stuff that we said, I had to eliminate a lot of it. It was just too graphic. But yeah, I invite all of you, if you haven't listened to that episode, it was on Luis Garavito, the monster or El Monstro of Colombia, or the priest of Colombia. Yeah, I invite everybody to go and check it out.
Tribilín.
Tribilín, aka Goofy. Who are we talking about? We are talking about Pedro Rodriguez Filho, how it's pronounced in Spanish. If it's in English, is Pedro Rodriguez Filho. The real life, right? Quote unquote, the real life Dexter. From Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. So, Charles.
2021.
Please come to the center stage, please. Charles, please come to the center stage.
Your balls are showing. It says, can I just say Pedro? Do I have to say Pedro Rodriguez Filho?
No. Just
no,
Pedro.
just say Pedro.
All right.
Go ahead.
Pedro isn't exactly Dexter, but he is a serial killer who murdered other criminals, which would make him one of the nicer serial killers. Oh, you're lagging.
That is so nicer.
Pedro is one serious serial killer. He's responsible for at least 70 murders, 10 of which he committed before he reached the age of 18. So he was pretty active since the early ages. When it comes to Pedro, though, being a good guy can actually pay off. Rodriguez targeted victims who, for the most part, weren't just average everyday people. Described by one analyst as the perfect psychopath, Rodriguez went after other criminals and those who had wronged him. Rodriguez's life started out rough from the moment he came into the world. He was born in 1954 in Minas Gerais, Brazil, with an injured skull as a result of a beating his mother took from his father while she was pregnant.
Oh, there it goes.
So, yeah.
That's really hard.
The common denominator.
The common denominator, daddy.
Yeah, but you know what? Usually all these kids that are abused like after they're born. He was abused since he was in the belly.
That's sad.
That's insane.
Rodriguez committed his first kill when he was just 14. The victim was his town's vice mayor. The man had recently fired Rodriguez's father, who was working as a school guard, for allegedly stealing food from the school. So Rodriguez shot him in front of City Hall with a shotgun.
Balls. That's
and a vice mayor.
Not a care in the world.
Well, you get kicked in the head, you ain't gonna care nobody.
So it makes you think, like, right? He was, I mean, if his father was beating his mom, and I mean, if a man, this is me assuming here, but if a man has the heart to beat a woman while she's pregnant with their child, I mean, to the point where he was born with a deformity or a condition because of this, I want to think that while what's his name, Pedro was a child, he was also being, I don't want to say beaten, but right, but also like mistreated, abused physically.
Yeah, a person that's been around violence.
Exactly. But then you go and your first murder you commit. This is for all you fathers out there. Sometimes, even though if you're a piece of shit, sometimes you can be a hero in your kid's eyes, just in case. To the point where, again, you know, he felt the need to shoot a vice mayor because he got his father fired, accusing him of stealing, right? Accusing him of being a thief of food when it wasn't even him. All right, continue.
His second murder wasn't long after. Rodriguez went on to murder another guard who was the supposed real food thief.
There we go.
So
That's true. And all before 18.
all before 18. Not a care in the world. He fled to the area of Mogi das Cruzes in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Once there, Pedro killed a drug dealer and participated in some burglaries as well. He also fell in love. Her name was Maria Aparecida Olimpia. So that's a mouthful. and the two lived together until she was killed by gang members. Olympia's death spurred Rodriguez's next crime spree. He tracked down several people related to her murder, torturing and killing them in his mission to find the gang member who took Olympia's life. That sounds like Machete. Yeah.
Tell me that's not a freaking movie right there.
Yeah,
that's
a
what
Liam
I'm
Neeson movie.
Talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Lethal Weapon 4. Charles Bronson.
Yeah, bro. Oh yeah, that's good. That's
Charles
good
Bronson.
stuff right there.
Yep.
That's good shit there, man. Yep. All right, continue.
The next notorious murder Pedro committed was also one of vengeance. This time, the target was his own father, the same man he committed his first murder on behalf of. Rodriguez's father had used a machete to kill Rodriguez's mother and was doing time at a local prison. Pedro visited his father in jail, where he killed him by stabbing him 22 times.
Just like you said, balls. He did it in freaking jail. He went to visit and stabbed him 22 times.
Yeah, this guy's gangster, man. Gangster.
And yet he's the nicest serial killer.
And he is the nicest one. I mean, but then again, that was one like in the 70s.
Yeah.
Things
he
were
caught on 73.
Things were weird in the 70s.
Hey, I was born in 73.
Weren't things funny in the 70s? Weird. then taking things to a whole other level, Rodriguez proceeded to cut out his father's heart before chewing on it. Now that is gangsta.
Now this guy is badass. I'm telling you, I was reading this story last night and I was like excited reading it. I was like, holy shit, this guy is fucking gangster, man.
You and I were in the same boat. I was like, yes.
He had
hate in his
heart. Like, yes.
He really had hate in his heart.
And he said it. He was gonna eat his heart out. But you know what's funny? In a lot of the other articles, they call him a cannibal, and he's not.
Just because he chewed on his father's heart out of anger.
He chewed it and spit it back onto the body. But they out of anger. They make it, but they make it sound in other articles. They make it sound like he was just munching on it.
Like he didn't.
And it's not like that. He just spit it back on the body.
So it says that he was finally arrested on May 24, 1973. He was placed in a police car with two other criminals, including a rapist. When the police opened the car door, they discovered that Rodriguez had killed the rapist. So
There
no
we
había,
go.
no había perdón para la puñalada de Conan.
No. I wonder how he killed him.
Exactly. How did he kill him inside a police car?
They never say, because I'm assuming if you're in a squad car, you're gonna be handcuffed.
Yeah.
It was
And
the
if they
70s.
handcuff you, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's Brazil. We don't even know. They just put him in a
Well,
car.
true,
Like,
true,
Yeah.
true.
we trust you enough to stay here.
They didn't pat him or anything.
Like, just sit in the car. That's it.
Don't move. Stay right. They were probably, they were probably like all for it. The cops were like, "Yeah, we'll leave you here. Yo, you did a good job. But I still have to arrest you."
Can you imagine, right, when they open the door and the rapist is dead, the police just starts clapping. Just imagine that shit. Like, good job, man. All right.
It was the start of a whole new chapter, being thrown in prison where he was surrounded by convicts. Well, that was Rodriguez's bread and butter. I love how they put it, bread and butter. That was his bread and butter.
Mhm.
Bread and butter.
Pedro killed at least 47 of his fellow inmates, which made up a majority of his murders. It's reported that the convicts Rodriguez killed while incarcerated were ones who he felt deserved retribution. He was interviewed saying that he got a thrill and joy out of killing other criminals. He also said that his favorite method of murder was by stabbing or hacking with blades.
Personal.
Graphic.
Graphic.
Very personal.
Though Pedro was initially sentenced to 128 years in prison, the crimes he committed while he was in jail upped his sentence to 400 years. But by Brazilian law, the maximum prison sentence is 30 years. So, de 400 a 30.
Like, I wonder why they do that, right? Like in Colombia also, they had, what was it, a 40-year max? Even though now they upped it to 60. Now they
Maybe
upped
it's
it to
because
60.
those things hardly happen over there.
Yo, if they would have left them, think about it. If they would have left them in jail, those supposedly 400 years, would he have finished off the whole,
Probably
prison,
the whole jail,
the whole prison,
whole
yeah,
cell block A,
one by one. He'll probably be the only one
Probably.
there. Hey, he would have done a good job.
It says that he served an additional 4 for the murders he carried out in prison. So in 2007, he was released. Pedro is notorious in Brazil, not just for the many people he killed, but for promising the murder of other criminals.
Oof.
And that's where the article ends.
That's what I gotta say. Yo.
A pat on the back. I take my hat off.
This freaking guy, man.
He was gangster.
So I was reading here. There's a website called latinpost.com. And I mean, it's basically the same information, is very summarized. It just has maybe like a few other details where it says like Brazilian Pedro Rodriguez, alias Lil Pedro Killer, or Pedrino Matador, right, was his nicknames. He's one of Brazil's most infamous serial killers who was convicted of 71 murders, born in Minas Gerais in 1954. He killed his first victim when he was only 14 years old and went on to kill for more than 3 decades. Right? Filho reportedly killed his own father as a form of revenge for murdering his mother, which we discussed. While growing up, Filho and his mother were heavily abused by his father, who ultimately killed and dismembered his wife. The Brazilian serial killer promised to avenge his mom's death, fulfilling his promise even while he was in prison. According to The Sun, Filho stabbed his father 22 times before he cut out his still beating heart and chewing on it.
That's nasty.
Quote, it says, I cut out a piece of his heart. I chewed it, but I didn't swallow it. I chewed it and threw it over the body, he said about this gruesome act. Rolling Stone reported that Pedro is believed to have killed 10 people by the time he reached 18 years old. These included the vice mayor of his town, who fired his father, and security guard who he believed framed his father. From a young age, Filho reportedly had the urge to kill. This is why I wanted to read this, because this is where it ties to like Dexter-ish.
Exactly.
He had the urge to kill, which manifested when he was 13. After killing the vice mayor, his father, and guard, he also murdered another man he believed was the real thief behind a theft he was previously accused of. So apparently there was a robbery, and they accused Pedro of it. So he got his vengeance. After the killing, Filho fled to Sao Paulo. While on the run in Sao Paulo, he met a woman named Maria Aparecida Olympia and proposed to her. This was while Filho was in the middle of a crime spree of robbing the slums and murdering a drug dealer. Right? As an act of revenge, the dealer's fellow gang members brutally murdered his then pregnant fiance. See, so his wife or his fiance was pregnant when they killed her. So not only they killed
he must have
her,
been furious.
they killed his kid. However, this just spurred the serial killer to commit even more acts of violence. He later went on to torture and killed more people in order to get his revenge. He later found out that the gang was organizing a wedding. He went to that wedding and killed many of the gang members. This all happened when he was still 18.
Oh, jeez.
Filho was finally captured in 2000. Why it says 2003? No, he was captured in 73 and was eventually convicted. However, even in prison, he continued to kill fellow inmates, particularly rapists. While he was convicted of 71 murders, Filho claimed to have killed more than 100 people in his lifetime. He reportedly killed over 40 inmates while in prison, which increased his sentence to 400 years. The Brazilian serial killer was initially sentenced to 127 years in prison, according to Grunge. Brazil does not have a lifetime sentence, and an inmate cannot serve more than 30 years in jail for each crime. Thus, Filho was able to walk free in 2007 after serving a total of 34 years in prison. Nowadays, the serial killer is walking free in Brazil, and he has his own YouTube channel called Pedrino X Matador, which means Pedrino X Killer. He now has more than 250,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Wow.
Damn.
In a 2020 podcast.
We need those grim publics.
Words. In a 2020 podcast, Pedro was asked whether he would kill again, and he answered, no, quote, no, I would only kill again if someone came to take my life or the lives of people I love who are my family, end quote. He added, nobody said it would be easy. I assume my mistakes. I paid my penalty, so I don't need to be judged or defended by anyone anymore. And this was, what was it? Latin Post.com. This was written by Rick Martin, not Ricky Martin, Rick Martin. Okay, so just in case, I
still consider this. Pat on the back.
So, with that information, you guys got a little insight. Obviously, if you look on YouTube and stuff like that, they have documentaries and all that good stuff for you to, obviously hear more and learn more about this magnificent human being. So, with that said, how do we feel about Pedro Rodriguez Filho? I gotta say, I'm not saying it's right to kill people. Not at all. I'm not saying it's right to rob people. Not at all. I do say it's amazing that I don't think there's anyone out there who owes this guy one. I don't think he ever goes to bed thinking, damn, man, this fucking guy got away with that. And that must feel amazing. You know what it is? Like, for like, think about it. People who framed you, robbed you,
raped you,
beat your mother's ass,
Killed your mother.
Killed your mother, killed your
Wife.
fiance, your kid, and you were able to go fucking Liam Neeson on them. Oof, that must feel amazing.
I was looking for like the perfect person. I was actually trying to think of like the perfect person that'll fit that description.
Dude, this guy, like, what is it that he says? I got some
he's like,
skills.
I don't know what you want. If you are looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
yeah, I used them. You got to get that, man.
Like, being able to do that must feel so listen, I live in New York City. So you deal with a lot of shit, a lot of people that you just wish it was like,
Yep.
I wish I was like a badass. Where I could just go and just be like, what you gonna do? Like some shit like that. Or like defend people that are, you know, like weaker. Just, oh man, just this guy, in my opinion, is a hero.
In my opinion, also. That's why I say he deserves a pat on the back, a tipping of the hat,
And a Coke.
Dude,
and a Coke and a smile.
And a Coke is mine.
being able to, like, when I think of rapists, that's one of the most horrible things, in my opinion.
No, it is. It is one of the most horrible things. Now, what I don't get is that why he would kill only rapists. You know, even though he killed, you know, different kinds, but they always explain he killed like rapists. What?
Yeah.
Was he raped when he was small? You know.
Probably, but
they
not
never
even.
explain it.
Maybe not. Maybe it's just.
Maybe he just thinks like us. Like,
you know, listen, I've never been raped, thank God.
Yeah.
But when I think about it,
no.
like somebody
I get that point. I get that point.
Who preys on the weak, you know, because not only, you know, kids or whatever, but a rapist usually, I want to say at least 99% of the time, will always try to prey on someone they know they can overpower, meaning somebody who is weaker than them. I mean, you don't see a 5'2" dude trying to rape a 6'5" person. You don't see that. So the fact that somebody who takes the time to try to either rape a woman, rape a child.
Obviously, we have rapists, so y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
And you can take vengeance on that must feel so fucking great.
Ball and just do it. No, it must feel great when he did it in the freaking squad car. That must feel freaking awesome.
Like, I mean, picture it in a squad car.
I said,
hey,
I
what
don't
are you in
applaud
for?
it.
Oh, I'm a rapist. Oh, come here, motherfucker. In the car. What?
And just the cops opening the door, and all you see is the body fall out.
I'm just thinking about how he did it.
I'm telling you, if I was a cop, I'll fucking start applauding. If I was a guard, like, especially again, and this is all, I mean, we don't know. He can say whatever, and the report says. But if this guy was truly killing like pieces of shit, if I was a guard, yo, this guy would get like the biggest room. I would treat him like a fucking king. Like, bro, you're doing society a favor. Eliminating all these roaches. Oh,
roaches.
I'm telling you. But for those of you who are listening and watching, we want to hear your opinion on this. Again, we're not saying murder is the answer. We're not saying we applaud murder. But we do, I mean, I can't say we. I do applaud justice. Real justice, not bullshit justice. I'm talking about, you guys have heard me say this many, many times in the podcast where I've said, in situations like this where somebody's beat, raped, killed, I believe in eye for an eye. If it's something simple, if it's something light, I mean, okay, people change. But when you take someone's life, or you, again, like a rape, something you overpower, you take this person's
it's still like
dignity,
taking the life.
you change them for life. Like, yeah, man. All right, so we want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Hero, villain? Are you with or are you against this type of action? We want to hear what you got to say. So I think we can leave this episode here. This has been the story of Pedro Rodriguez Filho, aka the real Dexter. I'm pretty sure he's the one who inspired the show.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I don't know. Maybe we got to look into it.
But yeah, again, I want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to the channel or the podcast, now is a great time to do so. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast, leave us a review. Look for us on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow us at the Grim Fix Podcast. And again, we remind you, if you have a story you want us to discuss and talk about, maybe you could be the topic of our next show. Send us your story at the Grim Fix Podcast at gmail.com. So until next week, please be safe. Peace.
Peace.
Peace, everyone.